Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Allie Peters here with the Core Group, Director of Marketing. We're excited to have you on this call today. It's a new product by Allianz Life, and I am also going to be learning, so we're excited for that. We've got Tasha with, she's our internal sales consultant with Allianz, and she's going to take us through this new product. I also want to do a little bit of housekeeping real quick. If you have any questions, we don't want to miss those, but please feel free to type them into the question box through GoToWebinar, and I will make sure that I address those at the end of the presentation, and we do have time for that. So, Tasha, with that, do you want to take it away for us?
Yes, thank you, Allie. Thank you, guys. I'm so excited to present this product to you guys today. It's a brand new product by Allianz, and honestly, truthfully, the first of its kind. So just getting the education out there has been really fun and exciting here. I am actually brand new to the Core Group as the internal, so at the end of the presentation, I will display all of my contact information, so any of you can feel free to reach out in the future. Just here to support all of you. And with that being said, the product that we are going to discuss today is called Legacy by Design. And I'll kind of start out and talk about a little bit more about why we created or designed this product in the first place, and then when we might want to consider using it. And then we'll kind of talk about all of the details of the product and how it's set up and how it works. And then, like Allie said, we can save questions for the end, and I'll make sure to address all of those. But really, when we talk about why did Allianz create this product, what was it meant for, how, why, what do I mean when I say it's the first of its kind to the industry? Allianz has done a lot of research over the last few years just in this RMD space. And a couple of things that we found, there's four interesting things that we found through research that ultimately led us to designing the product. The number one thing that we learned is that there is going to be about $10 trillion in qualified assets that will be subject to RMDs in the next 20 years. That's a huge market share, a huge opportunity, which is why kind of the main reason why we started looking at the possibility of this product. And then we found a couple other things through that research. 57% of consumers want their RMD and tax payment to occur without getting involved. They don't want to have to deal with it every single year. It can be pretty cumbersome if you think about having to fill out paperwork and figuring out how you want your taxes paid and from where, and then deciding what to do with those RMD payments in the first place. The other second thing that we found is that 71% of consumers are interested in their RMDs funding a financial product that helps offset the impact of taxes. So a lot of times you hear about people that maybe don't need or want their RMD payment, and they're maybe putting it into the market, they're maybe donating it to a charity, maybe it's going to the casino, but there's no product out there right now that helps offset the impact of taxes. Maybe from a life insurance standpoint there are, so this product, we can kind of talk about that and where this might come in versus using life insurance and using this FIA product instead. But 71% of people want a financial product that helps them offset the impact of taxes. And then the third thing is 80% of consumers believe that they will not need all of, or sometimes even any of, their RMD payments for day-to-day living. So then the question comes into, well, what are these people doing with their RMD payments? And that goes back to maybe they're donating it, maybe they're spending it in places they shouldn't be or don't necessarily want to be. So we then turned around and created this product to have a space for them to do something with the funds in a more beneficial way. So that led us to Legacy by Design. We offer within this product, we offer a systematic way to manage RMDs, and we'll talk about all the details of these high-level overview Legacy by Design benefits. But we're taking away that kind of cumbersome process of having to deal with your RMDs every single year, and we're offering a systematic way to manage those. We're also giving the client an opportunity to earn interest with their qualified funds over time in this product, and we'll talk about that as well. And they're protected on the downside. So if you think about someone who may be turning around, putting their RMD payments into the market, they do have that risk of losing in market downturns, where in an FIA product, you are obviously protected on the downside. And then we also have a death benefit bonus on this product. And I'll talk more in detail about this bonus and how it works on the product. But this 25% bonus in a way, and in a lot of ways helps offset the taxation of your RMD payment. So this is kind of really high level, the 3 biggest opportunities within the product. So when we think about who might benefit from this product or who is our target market, we realize this is a very niche product. This is not going to fit for many consumers, but the consumers that it does work for, it's pretty much a grand slam. The target is going to be most likely a more affluent client, someone who's maybe of higher net worth. It's also going to be someone who's at or near the RMD age, and we'll talk about why that age matters and why the affluency of the client matters, just with some of the different product details. But the entire goal of this product, the #1 objective of this product, is to transfer your wealth at death to a beneficiary. And it's the wealth of your qualified funds that normally are subject to taxation, but this product is going to help overcome that taxation. So when we think about the product high level, there's 2 contracts within the product, and we're constantly thinking and toggling between the 2. So you've got on one side, contract #1, you've got your legacy planner. This is simply the part of the contract that your qualified funds roll into and start the contract. So qualified funds feed into contract 1, legacy planner. Contract 2 is what we're going to fund from contract 1 when RMDs are due every year. So any year that an RMD is due, the RMD payment is going to come out of this contract #1, and it's going to feed into your contract #2. And when it's feeding over, and I think there's a slide that will kind of touch on this as we move forward, but there are many options from a taxation standpoint that you have. So we'll kind of discuss that as we move through here. But just keep in mind, contract 1, qualified funds, initial premium, contract #2, legacy plus, ends up being non-qualified funds because it's your RMD payments that are coming out and taxations being taken care of in the process. Again, type of client, we know they have qualified monies. They want to take RMDs. They don't foresee the need, although there's flexibility from that standpoint, and someone who's really looking to protect and enhance their legacy for their beneficiary. So again, more affluent client, entire goal is to leave behind a benefit to their beneficiary. We'll jump into the legacy planner details. So this is that contract #1 that we saw on the previous slide. This is, again, the qualified contract that you are funding this product with initially, your qualified funds. Within this contract, some of the high-level requirements of the product, minimum premium is going to be $20,000, qualified only. Again, this is an RMD-focused product, so it's only going to be qualified funds, and it's going to be traditional IRA or SEP IRA. They're going to be the only 2 types of funds that we would see feed into this product. Flexible premium is for the first contract year, meaning you can add additional funds into this contract anytime within your first contract year. Issue ages are 0 to 80. Again, niche market though, that age that we're probably really going to be paying attention to is going to be someone who is at or very close to RMD age of 70 and a half. We might see someone as young as 65-ish going into the contract. We'll talk about some of the nuance, I guess the one nuance of the product, and that is the withdrawal of the qualified side of the contract. You can see here that it says no penalty-free withdrawals. There is no free withdrawal on this legacy planner qualified. So for an example, if a 65-year-old client goes into this contract, they would not have access to any free withdrawals until they turn 70 and a half. So that gives them 5.5 years where they are tied up in this product with no liquidity feature. What happens then is when and we'll talk about this a little bit more when we move on to the Legacy Plus, but the reason being is when you turn 70 and a half, RMD starts coming out of this Legacy Planner and feeding into your Legacy Plus, contract #2. Contract #2 is fully liquid at any time. So on the flip side of this example, if someone goes into the contract at age 70 and an RMD comes out within that first year, technically that RMD amount that's sitting in contract #2 would be fully liquid at any time. So when we're considering the age of the client, this is something to think about. If you've got a very affluent client, this might not matter and liquidity might not be a big issue, but it is definitely something to think about when considering the product. On the legacy planner, that simply grows by your premium. Any interest earned, you've got, I think, about 18 different allocation options on the policy, and the rates are very favorable, very comparable to some of our other top FIA products. And then any RMDs coming out would lower that legacy planner accumulation value. You've got, again, liquidity. You've got a 10-year surrender, so you have no liquidity for 10 years. No free withdrawals, I guess. You can withdraw, but you'd have a surrender charge. This is a example of a surrender charge. Surrender charges are state specific, so we would want to pay attention to the state you're selling it in. And then you can take your accumulation value as a lump sum after the penalty-free 10 years, and with the option to leave your Legacy Plus contract intact, which we'll talk about. But you do have options after the 10 year. It's a lot more flexible after the 10 years, but in the first 10 years, there's not a lot of flexibility in this Legacy Planner side of the contract. And we'll talk about death benefit on the product too, so we'll skip over that. From an index allocation standpoint, you've got several methods as well as several index options. You're probably familiar with the S&P, NASDAQ, and Russell, the top three that you see there, and you've got cap and monthly sum options with those different indexes. And then you see Bloomberg, PIMCO, and BlackRock. These are going to be Allianz's proprietary volatility-controlled indexes. Bloomberg and PIMCO are comprised partly of the S&P 500. They're also comprised partly of a bond, the Bloomberg bond and the PIMCO bond, and they shift daily between the two. So I know a lot of people gravitate towards those just from a volatility controlled standpoint. BlackRock is our newest index, kind of our newest partnership with BlackRock, and they are actually actively managing that index for us. So every year in January, the team at BlackRock gets together, they reassess the weightings within the index. So a lot of allocation options for you on the Legacy Planner side of the house. You can change these every single year. You've got 21 days after your contract anniversary to go in and make any changes from an allocation standpoint. Now when we talk about Legacy Plus, this is contract number 2. And this is, again, the contract that we're funding with our RMD payments from the Legacy Planner. So in any year that you have an RMD due, that RMD payment will feed from the Legacy Planner into this Legacy Plus. It's now a non-qualified contract. The only amount of premium that can go into this Legacy Plus is the RMD amount. No additional funds can be put into it. This side of the contract also has allocation options. You can also earn interest. You can allocate the same exact way as you did on the Legacy Planner, or you can allocate a little bit differently as well if you want to. And again, you can make these changes every single year within 21 days of your anniversary. You've got all the same options. When we talk about free withdrawals, again, this side of the contract, contract number 2, is 100% fully liquid on day 1 of the contract. So as soon as there's funds in this side of the contract, they are fully liquid. So you can take them out. You can utilize them. And then we talk about the death benefit. The death benefit is 25% of whatever the accumulation value is of this Legacy Plus. So think about at time of death, there's basically 3 buckets of money that we'd be leaving behind to the beneficiary. And that is, oh, it's not there. That would be contract number 1, Legacy Planner, the qualified contract, whatever is remaining in there plus interest earned over the life of that side of the contract. Bucket number 2 would be this contract number 2, which is the Legacy Plus. So whatever RMD payments that have fed over plus any interest earned. And then bucket number 3 is going to be a 25% of this Legacy Plus account value at time of death. So you're leaving behind 3 buckets of money. When the client chooses how RMDs are handled, there's actually a lot of flexibility within the product. So the first option would be to, if for whatever reason you do want your RMD payment sent to you in any given year, you can. We can send the RMD payment to you. Obviously, then you're not feeding the Legacy Plus side of the contract, and you're not building a death benefit value for your beneficiary, but it's flexible. You can take it if you need it. The second is having the entire RMD amount go into the Legacy Plus contract, meaning you are going to take care of the taxation, the taxes that you owe Uncle Sam from another account or elsewhere. And that's how you're going to benefit the most from the product, is if you can do that. And again, goes back to having maybe a more affluent client who can take care of taxes elsewhere. The third option, which we assume a lot of people will probably utilize, is having Allianz do the tax withholding for them, getting that payment out for them, and then the remainder of that RMD payment, less the taxes, feeding into the Legacy Plus contract. So a lot of options, a lot of flexibility. You can change it every, any year that you want, but once you set it up, you never have to change it again unless there's a change to your needs. So this is where the systematic way of handling your RMDs comes into play. Set it up once and you can leave it like that for the life of the contract, and you never have to worry about doing anything with it again. And here I'll show you a hypothetical example. Again, going back to what does this death benefit look like, or what does this legacy look like to the client, to the beneficiary. So if we just assume we put $500,000 into this Legacy by Design contract, and it's time to take an RMD. We're just assuming here a 20% RMD. That RMD is $18,000, and we feed that over to the Legacy Plus side. So we're taking 20% of taxes out, and that means we have $14,400 left to feed over into the Legacy Plus. So in this scenario, we took care of taxes with their RMD payment in this contract. If you wanted to take care of taxes elsewhere, then this full $18,000 would feed over into the Legacy Plus. Then bucket number 3 comes into play. The death benefit bonus in this scenario would be 25% of that Legacy Plus accumulation value, which in this scenario is $3,600. If you do the math, this gets us back up to the original $500,000, and taxes have been taken care of. So this is where the that stat that we showed, that people want something to help overcome taxation. By giving this death benefit bonus back, we're overcoming the taxation of the contract. Obviously, we did tax withholdings here of 20%, so a 25% death benefit bonus is really favorable. Not everyone's going to fall in that 20% tax bracket. It could be more favorable, could be less favorable, but it does help in all scenarios to at least get some of that back. This also is not assuming any interest. So interest would be applied prior to that RMD coming out, so these numbers could even end up being greater, and we'll look at some examples. Again, if there's interest on the Legacy Plus, that would be applied prior to the RMD moving in, and then the death benefit bonus would be based off of a higher value as well. So here's a couple examples just to show how the product really works and operates together. So when we look at these 3 account values, again, in that last scenario, in this scenario, the benefit to the client, to the beneficiary of the client, would be $500,000, and taxes were taken care of. And that's assuming no interest. Now, if we look at an example that shows a 3% average growth, which in an FIA, we say 3 to 6% is really kind of the safe bet or expectation in a product, and this product is built to perform 3 to 6%. This example shows us a conservative 3% average growth over, this here is over a 20-year period. So the purple is the Legacy Planner. We put $500,000 in, and you can see over time that that's reducing because RMDs are coming out. The light blue color is the Legacy Plus contract, which you can see is increasing because the RMDs are coming out of Legacy Planner, feeding into Legacy Plus. And then you see the green, which is the death benefit bonus, which is simply just the additional 25% death benefit bonus of the account value of the Legacy Plus. This also is showing us a 20% RMD income tax withholding every single year. So at the end of this 20 years, after 10 years, the death benefit payout total would be $671,958. Over a 20-year period, the death benefit with a conservative 3% average return would be 903%, and taxes were already taken care of. the RMD income tax is already taken care of on this. There's no other product in the industry like this right now. And then if we look at something just assuming no growth, really at the end of the day, this gets us back to our initial premium put into the contract, $500,000. You can see the purple decreasing, the blue increasing, and the green kind of helping to average everything out over the long term while taxes are being taken care of. Some people I know will utilize life insurance for something like this. I guess my only rebuttal to that is if you're working with someone who's already at or near RMD age 70, 70 and a half, A, what is the cost of life insurance for someone at that age, especially if they don't already have it set up? And B, can they pass any of the health tests that you have to do to qualify for life insurance? Because on an FIA product, we don't have to do any health checking or anything like that. So it's basically just based on your age and your financial kind of setup to qualify you for the product. So I know a lot of people, yes, life insurance is a great option for doing something similar to what this product does, but at the end of the day, life insurance doesn't always work for everybody. This also can be used in conjunction to someone who already has life insurance set up. Then maybe you're working with a very affluent client and they already have kind of all of the other accounts set up out there. They're pretty well set and they just want an additional death benefit or legacy play. So this could be an option there too. I know a lot of agents in the industry are using this product and going into the books of business that they already have, finding the clients that are at or near RMD age and having the conversation with them as far as what are they doing with their RMD payments now? And is this a fit for them? Is this something that might be helpful for them, especially as they plan for legacy? So that's really the product high level. When you think about, I know one question that will probably come up, so I'll answer it now before we open up for questions. The one thing about this product, when you think about the death benefit being paid out, and I get this question every single time, is what does that look like to the beneficiary? So the qualified side of the contract, the legacy planner, is going to be taxed as ordinary income to the beneficiary. The non-qualified side of the contract will just be LIFO, so last in, first out. So any gains on that side of the contract will be taxed, as well as the 25% death benefit bonus. The nice thing is the beneficiary can choose to take these death benefit payments out over any range up to their life expectancy, just not to exceed 30 years. So there are a lot of options for the beneficiary to help break up some of the taxation they might receive in receiving this as a death benefit. But that is the product high level, and I can open it up to questions now.
Thank you, Tasha, so much.
Yes.
Oh, I do see a question. It just popped up. I was like, I don't see anything yet. Hold on one sec. Let me click on this. The question is, impact if tax law RMD at 70 and a half changes?
What happens if it changes?
Yeah, what would be the impact on the product?
No impact. All that would have to happen for the client and or the advisor helping to manage this is obviously getting, there'd be a form to fill out when you first set up your RMD and what that taxation is that you want Allianz to handle for you. So if that changes, then you obviously need to submit new paperwork with the new withholding. But other than that, if nothing changes, you don't have to worry about changing any paperwork. But if there is a change to the taxation bracket that you fall into, then we would just need new paperwork, and then we'll just obviously change and withhold the appropriate taxation amount.
Well, that makes it easy. Thank you. We'll give everybody a chance. If there's any other questions, you can write them into your chat box now. I don't see any others coming through just yet, but that was very thorough, and you did a great job. Thank you, Tasha, so much.
Thank you. I am also going to just pop up my information on the screen, so if anyone on the webinar today wants to jot down my information, they certainly can, and they can reach out to me anytime to be on the webinar if they want to talk about the products in more depth or have additional questions that come up.
Thank you, Tasha. That's wonderful. And what I'll do after the call is, so if you have somebody that you think in your office that should see the webinar, we do have all of our webinar replays on the website. I will send that link out today in about an hour once I get everything downloaded. And if you need to rewatch it or if you need the presentation, just let us know. We can always send that out to you as well. So I thank you so much, Tasha, for doing that for
Yes,
us and
thank
spending
you.
your time with us today.
Thank you, guys. We're really
And
excited about this product, so would love to hear any feedback too. If anyone has feedback or, you know, things that they're hearing in the industry, always welcome those phone calls and those emails.
awesome. We appreciate you so much, and thank you everyone for
Thank
being
you.
on the call. Have a prosperous day.
Thank you, Allie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.